Hi, we are the team number 8 and we are going to explain our PM. As a quickly introduction, we are going to talk about how culture directly affects international negotiations, because not all countries negotiate in the same way. What we must first understand are the basic values, habits, and customs, religion, morals, and other aspects in order to develop the ability to communicate well and to achieve mutual beneficial negotiations. The first country that we have is Canada. As a general data, the population of Canada is 38.25 million. Canada is the world's second largest country, and Canada is one of the world's top 10 economies by GDP volume. Okay, now, the language is the first factor that we must take into account since we are doing an international negotiation with Canada. In Canada, the official language is not only English. The province of Quebec, which is one of the most important and where the majority of the population is concentrated, most of the inhabitants speak also French. In Quebec, 75.40% of the population speaks French. So we can say that Canada has two official languages, English and French. Therefore, it is essential to investigate the language spoken in the city you are going to be. In case you don't have the knowledge, it is necessary to have a translator, interpreter, to make easier the negotiation. Another recommendation is to only speak in the language in which the negotiation is being conducted. This means if the negotiation is in English, you need only speak in English, or if it's in French, you need only to speak in French. Because it is rude, or maybe the Canadians can consider rude to speak in a language that the other party does not understand. Okay, Canadian culture has been largely influenced by the English culture. So you should be careful about punctuality. Unlike us Mexicans, where we are always late, and if they tell you an hour and you arrive 15 minutes late, it is considered early because we are used to be always late. So it is better in Canada to take precautions in terms of distance or transport congestion in order to arrive at the agreed time in case of a business visit or a negotiation. A delay of 15 minutes in Canada is considered discourteous or rude. Canada is multicultural because they respect cultures and different cultures can exist at the same time. But in Quebec is different because there exists the interculturalism. This means that they create a shared culture and they tend to share the behaviors. The Canadian dollar is the official currency of Canada. And it is used since 1858, the year in which it was declared that all accounts will be in Canadian dollars. 1 Canadian dollar is equal to 16.48 Mexican pesos. If we talk about the application of law, there are two legal systems. Civil law for the province of Quebec only, and the common law is the rest of the country. As a consequence of the heterogeneity of the origin, Canadian consumers are very receptive to the different cultures, gastronomy, and behaviors. Now to talk about the work environment, it is a subject that there are too many differences. The strongest culture shock that we found is that the law regulates not to mess with personal aspects. In a job interview, they can ask you anything related to your ability to perform the job, but nothing personal, including your age. Another thing is that many of the jobs are paid by the hour, and that gives flexibility in some aspects. Canadians tend to be restrained in their negotiation style, keeping their emotions in check, don't come on too strong. And Canadian women make up almost half of the workforce and occupy the key professionals and managerial positions. Now, in the country business culture, the respect a person enjoys depends primarily on his or her achievements, and to a lesser degree about the education. So they look for people that are independent and also that have achievements, but they don't put a lot of attention in your education. Negotiations in Canada often move at a rapid pace. Counterparts will generally want to finish the negotiation in a timely manner and implement action soon. Even complex negotiations may not require more than one trip, as follow-up negotiations are often conducted via phone and email. Canadian negotiators may use pressure techniques that include opening with the best offer, showing intransigence, making final or expiring offers, or nibbling. When using similar tactics yourself, clearly explain your offer, and it is better to avoid being aggressive because they are not that way. They don't come on too strong.
The next country we're going to review is the United Kingdom. About its culture, there are some social norms to be considered for British individuals that may affect business. For example, punctuality is very important. British are characterized for taking time very seriously. Being late is weird and can be considered rude, especially in business meetings. This is important if we consider that in Mexico, timing is approximate and being late is not much of a deal. It is acceptable to have at least one arm length between you and the person you are speaking with. Being close when speaking with others is assumed to be aggressive and can be uncomfortable for the person you are speaking, in comparison with Mexico, where being near the person you are interacting is common and normal. Please, thank you, and sorry are expected for politeness. It is said that British people are very polite, and this is an example of it. And although it is certain that this is not a very important point to be considered, it does speak of how polite you are with the ones around you, and denotes the amount of respect you have for them. Another example could be that eye contact for an extended period of time may be considered rude, and it is not used often when speaking, especially on a business negotiation. This would be considered intimidating and would have a negative effect on the negotiation. Now, talking about the religion, in the UK, the main religion practiced is Christianity, which accounts for 59.5% of the total population of the country. This is mainly because it is a religion practiced by the British monarchy, and the one used in every royal event like coronations or memorials, and thus this religion is by far the most practiced in the country. However, there are others like Islam or Hinduism that make up a 4.4 and 1.3% respectively. The rest is accounted by other religions, and 7.2% of the British do not have any. This is important to be considered since religious memorial days are still considered and practiced in the culture. Talking about the language, the main language spoken by the country is English, which is spoken by 49 million individuals. That represents about 92% of the total population of the nation, and it is considered to be the official language of the country. Polish is the second most spoken language in the country. This indicates that almost every single of the business transactions that are carried out in the country are made in English, and a Mexican negotiator should be prepared for carrying negotiations in this language. About its currency, the main currency in the UK is the pound sterling, which is only used in the UK and in some other colonies of the country. At the date of the creation of this presentation, which is October the 26th, the pound has a price of 1 per 23.09 Mexican pesos. About its work environment, the British work environment is considered to be highly individualistic. This means that objectives are set and worked, and decisions are made by individuals and focus on the rights and responsibilities of each person and not as a group. This would also explain why communication in British workplaces is a combination of direct and indirect communication, since relations between work members of a company are not common in a sense that is outside of the work environment. A negotiator from Mexico should be well aware of this since it could create problems in the communication if he or she understands the work environment. There are higher chances that the objectives are accomplished effectively.
And the Japanese people in this case to negotiate with their people. We have the first thing, the culture. Well, as we know, the Japan have had multiply different culture if we compare it with Mexico. And first, in first step, we have the clothing, and we have the traditional and modern. In traditional clothing, the kimono, that literally is things to wear and stands out, which is a striking long garment worn by women and men and children on special occasions. As we know, they have very different types to clothing that as we have. In Mexico, we have a lot of traditional wears that they are like caps or different styles like mariachi or something. And in this case, Japan have a garment that is really different because it also have the haircut and different types of these traditional and specific type of clothing that they had is like a cape or something, the kimono, how I said, and the pajamas and the yonile and different types of clothing actually. And we have an important topic that is the language. As we know, the large percentage of the country's population is about one speak the Japanese language. There is actually Japanese language is the most currently spoken language in the world. As I guess it's in the third position, and I guess the first is China. I don't remember that table that had the Japanese the most spoken language, but I guess it is the ninth most spoken language in the world. So is the understanding the language will also mean understanding much of the culture of the country. About this, Japanese is no just a language that is born in those years, like maybe I don't know how to say it, but a lot of years. And this is have a family of language with his we can say like cousins. They are the Korean and the Chinese language. They are not the same, but are related. They have Ryukyu. That is the name of this group of language. That it's understanding of much of the culture, and they also know, or maybe a lot of countries knows how to speak in English, but the main language is the Japanese, and it's like the 90% of the population talk in this language. And we have the currency of Japan, that is the official, is the yen, a country that maybe everyone one might think is the credit cards are hardly using in this country. They are not accustomed to pay in credit cards or in a digital way to pay it. They usually have the cash in a different um, we use it. We use the credit cards and everything stuff. We use a lot of ways to pay it, and in this case, the yen have how can I say an exchange different Mexican peso. Mexican peso, one Mexican peso is equals that 7.4 yens in Japanese, and in 5 pesos they are 37.07 yens. And as we maybe can actually thought that the products or maybe a soda or something, coffee, whatever, they are very expensive, but it isn't because it's a different change. If we convert in pesos, we know that it's not really cheap, but as a normal price that we actually know. And we have the religion. Most of the people are not affiliated with a particular religion. They have really different characteristics from many religions, but they are like the Buddhism, the Christianism, and the Shinto religion. But they are not really into this. They are not like have to belonging to different religions. They are just a traditional way to think. They're not like the religion like here in Mexico that we have the Christianism and the I don't remember the name of the other, but they they don't have these different religions. They have it, but they are not usually use it, or they are not. There is not really important in his tradition. They actually have a different ways to think. That is the celebrate the importance of the country. That the most specific dates that always have to celebrate or something. And how to negotiate with these people? Well, the negotiation by my negotiators may be based in their cultural values. So cultural differences are key in the negotiation process. If they are not handled well, they could create obstacles. Well, we have to negotiate with Japanese people. We have to know, as other countries, to respect every step, every aspect of these people. They are a different negotiation process. If they are not like, we have to how I said it, this to control these key aspects and respect everything about the cultural, the language, included the currency, because maybe if you try to negotiate with these people, they are can be offended if you don't know, maybe not a lot, but maybe the base of how to talk with a Japanese, because we can use an informal language, because if they maybe they are not accustomed to receive this informal language. They are more like formal, and includes the communication with the body language. It's very important how our body language can say a lot of things more than the ordinal can say it. And well, if we wanna to negotiate with these people, we have to respect, because we respect, we have the thing that we can deal with the other party. And actually, just like in every country, not just in this, respect the cultural basis and make strategies to negotiate with these people. We Nigeria, there is another country that I wanted to explain it. And we have we have the language. In this country, we have the Yoruba, or Leiba, and Hausa, that are the main language in Nigeria, in addition to English, that we use in the United Country with numerous groups. Sorry. That maybe we can know a difference, that maybe everyone maybe who thought that Nigeria had a different style or different type of language. They have the first, they are the English. There is not his main, but it is like the official language of Nigeria is the English, and maybe more than 250 individual tribal language, but they are only is most common if they talk in English. It's more used in this country, but they are also the Yoruba, that is the like the third language, and the Hausa, that is the not official country second language in the North American, not north of Nigeria. And many people who are not ethnic Hausas speak with Hausa, and they also write the language in West Africa, but is there are maybe like a battle or something between this language, the Yoruba, the Legbo, and Hausa, but the main is the English language. And we have the Nigeria, but the Nigeria is the Nigeria is the largest democracy and the continent's most populous country. And in these continents, the economy with the average annual growth the rate of 6.8%, there is very interesting because as they have a good economy. If we compare with maybe Mexico, Mexico had a good economy and had a good democracy, but most popularly, the most difference is between how they grow in annual cases. And they also have the currency and the religion. The naira is the currency of the Nigeria. That is equivalent to 0.045 Mexican peso. That it's really interesting because in Japan we have the yen, and in Japan was how I said is we can thought that it is more expensive something, but they aren't. In this case, is vice versa. There maybe we can know that it's really cheap, but there isn't. But they are like different types of prices that in Mexican we can maybe use it like, oh, this product have a price of 10 pesos, but in this case is the naira is I don't know how to explain it, but like it looks very cheap, but they aren't cheap. And we have the religion that they have a difference with the other countries, or difference with here in Mexico. In Mexico, maybe around the 60% of the people are Christians, and the other 40% are in different religions. In this case, in Nigeria, they have a person of 50% and the person of the 40%. That the 40% it equals to the Christianity and the Islam. That is the religion that they are very very familiarized with this religion, because the Islam is maybe not just in this country. There are a lot of countries like India and most of the countries of Africa. They are not strict Muslims. They are the much more relaxed, because the Muslims and this religion, like how I say in Spanish, los musulmanes, and they're like they have strict rules, but in this case, Islam is not really strict, but I mean, it's a religion. They have to respect the culture and the way to think in this religion. And we have the how they work or his working environment. In the view, the most of Western executive Nigeria is a difficult. It's really complicated to place in country in which to do business. It is not. It's really difficult because we have to try to explain with a very step, like one step, how to I mean the how to say hi or something, and the step two, the how do you have the idea that you wanna deal with, and the step three, how you leave this conversation. But they are a bad destination for the manager of subsidiary a multinational company. The reason for is the bad image are insecurity, physical, or poor structure. They are not. They don't have the risk. They don't wanna risk his money or something to have the poor infrastructure. They are looking for better ways to increase the economy with their country. They have to. They have to negotiate with companies that maybe can give them different ways to increase the economy. So they are like have the how I said multiply reasons to don't work with a lot of executives, because they are really strict in this case. They have the like a list. If you can if you can do that list is that you can deal with, but you have to be very, very, very direct when you want to what you want to give to them. Like if you have to deal with, you have to know they are really restricted and they have to know. Well, just go in one way and you can do it whatever you want in this country because if you are really secure of what you want, you can do whatever and have a good deal with this country.
Now, Sonia, I'm going to talk about Australia. The population is 25.74 millions, and well, here we have the culture. The Australian lifestyle is very similar to that of other Western countries, such as Canada and New Zealand. What are Australians like? There are people who share value and take pride in having as their ideal the fulfillment of values such as freedom, equality, respect, tolerance, and justice. Now we have the language. English is the national language in Australia. However, the cultural diversity of the population means that over 200 languages are spoken in different sectors of the Australian community. Well, here in religion, we have that in Australia, all citizens are free to follow and celebrate their cultural and religious traditions as long as they do not constitute breaches of Australian law. In addition, Australians are free not to practice any religion if they so choose. Now we have the currency. The Australian dollar is the official currency of the Commonwealth of Australia, including the Australian Antarctic territories, Christmas Islands, Cocos Islands, Hare and McDonald's Islands, and Norfolk Islands, as well as the independent Pacific states in Kiribati, Nauru, and Tuvalu. And finally, in working environment, in Australia, 13% of employees have very long paid working hours, higher than the OECD average of 10%, and among them, 19% of men work long paid hours compared to 6% percentage of women.
Well, the next country that we are going to present is Uruguay. Uruguay is a diverse country full of variety of cultures, foods, religions, arts, and sports, all coming together to form a unique national identity. The people of this country are known to be warm, welcoming, and friendly. Uruguayans tend to be more direct and upfront than individuals from other South American countries. Well, for the religion, the freedom to practice any religion is protected by the Constitution of Uruguay. About 50% of population identifies as non-religious, and that's because Uruguay is a secular state. About 38% of Uruguayans are Catholics, and an additional 10% identifies as Protestants. Regular Catholic church attendance is low, while Protestants report being more active in the church. The other 2% is divided into those who believe in another God. In the language, the most widely spoken language is Spanish in its River Plate variant. In some border areas with Brazil, Uruguayan variants of Portuguese are spoken. Italian, Russian, English, French, and Chinese are also spoken. So we can say that Spanish is the national language, Portuguese is a significant one. The immigrants are German, Italian, and Russian, and the foreign ones are English, Italian, French, and Chinese. And also Uruguay, they have indigenous languages and sign languages. So for the currency, the Uruguayan peso continues to be the official currency of Uruguay, but however, the country has had different currencies throughout its history. At present, we find metallic coins of 1, 2, 5, and 10 pesos. And as for tickets, we find 20, 50, 100, 200, 500, 1,000, and 2,000. For the working environment, the pace of negotiation is not as slow in other Latin American countries. The treatment is very friendly and cordial. The negotiations are relaxed, except when talking about economic aspects. Then they adopt a serious attitude. Uruguayans are quite proud, so it's difficult for them to change their mind. In presentations, verbal messages should predominate over figures and technical arguments. They like to enter into discussions and expose their points of view more than exchange opinions with the other party. When a major discrepancy appears, they do not confront, so it's better to go to another point and return to it at the end of the negotiation.
On a general conclusion, in this work, several important topics were discussed, such as the cultural aspect, the negotiation aspect, and the way in which different countries do business. It is important to know that there are differences between countries and ours, and that many things, no matter how elementary they may seem, may be unknown to us or simply are handled differently. It is important to us as international business students to know about how different cultures impact business interactions and what we need to do when interacting with individuals that are from other countries in order to ensure the business transaction flows as smoothly as possible.